All right, so we're going to call this meeting to order. And I don't know if folks saw the agenda or not. I don't think it got sent around by email, but it is on the website. The first item that we have on the agenda is the Granite Hill Farm subdivision. And hopefully Bob can help me because I'm going to get some things wrong. But Granite Hill Farm, Bob, do you know what date that was approved?
It was October 3 years prior to last year, so it would have been
2017. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is a subdivision that was approved more than 3 years ago. It's off of Bowie Hill, I think. And the owner passed away, the developer passed away, and it has since been 3 years since the approval, and the subdivision's not complete. The infrastructure is not complete. I believe one lot has been sold out of it. Is that right, Bob?
Yes, it is.
Is that built on?
It's already built and it is on Granite Farm Hill Road.
Okay.
At the very end of it, after
Okay.
the pond.
Okay. So, but the infrastructure was never completed. The owner died and they're now trying to sell it. And so we have this provision in our ordinance, and that's 6.10I. And it says time limit for completion of subdivision improvements. And it says, except in the case of a phase development plan, failure to start construction of required improvements within 12 months, or to complete construction of the subdivision's infrastructure improvements within 36 months of the date of approval and signing of the plan, shall render the plan in violation of the regulations. Upon determining that a subdivision's approval has expired under this paragraph, the board shall have a notice placed in the Registry of Deeds to that effect. A notice of developer default shall be recorded stating that no development permits for unsold lots will be issued by the town until application has been made for reapproval of the subdivision and the planning board grants such approval. Completion of a subdivision does not require sale of lots or construction of homes on lots. So Kathy and I worked on a letter to the PR, the personal representative of the estate of the former owner of the developer, as well as to the realtor listing it. She told me that went out towards I think she said January 22nd. Bob, have you heard anything from them?
No, I haven't.
Okay. And basically that letter just invited them here tonight to talk to us about why we shouldn't record a deed or why they think it's done or anything else. And I don't see anyone for them. Is there anyone representing Granite Hill Farm subdivision here tonight? So I think the exercise for the board tonight is to make a finding that the subdivision has not been completed, if we're all comfortable with it, of course, to make a finding that the subdivision has not been completed within 36 months, that the approval has expired, and voting that we will record a statement in accordance with the ordinance in the registry to that effect. So does anyone have any questions or thoughts or questions for Bob? Bob's been out there.
Yeah, just clarification. So one of the lots is done, or is there a house built on one already?
Yes, and a beautiful house at that.
Yeah, is anyone living in there or no?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
So this is almost like Allen's and Gary Springer's lot that was sold in the subdivision.
I remember this application. So what would that do, Ann, to that homeowner? Would that do anything to that homeowner? Just like,
So I don't think it does anything to that homeowner, because the notice we're going to be recording just says no development permits for unsold lots will be issued by the town until application has been made for reapproval. So I think that house is fine. They
Okay,
may or may not have their own claims against the developer and the estate, but that's nothing we need to get involved in.
okay.
But if whoever buys that property subsequently, they'll need to come back through subdivision approval.
What would that look like if they do come back to us? Would that be another review? That's,
Oh,
Yeah.
no, you,
Yep, I mean,
So-
I'm guessing they'll probably use most of the same materials. There was an issue where a close neighbor, not an abutter, was not notified because they weren't an abutter and have taken an interest in this. There was some significant confusion over the status of the road. We got an opinion from our attorney, but I expect when this comes back, we will have more attorney opinions to consider. So it's not going to be clean. I don't expect it to be clean when it does come back, but I think it does need
okay.
it.
Yeah, and
so,
the limit is 12 months, right? Or, let's see. Required to start construction improvements within 12 months or to complete construction within 36 months.
Right.
Okay. So it's a 36 months that has passed.
the lot that is occupied, right, the home that is occupied, is that the first lot going into the subdivision?
Yes, and one of my questions would be, are you gonna label that lot 1, or are we gonna try to figure out how to avoid what Gary Springer went through?
Well, I would think that, that current homeowner would be concerned about, and I think we will too, if somebody's going to open this back up, is about maintenance of the road to that house.
Well, to his house, he's okay with that, but the bigger question is, does that become a back lot if you take all the lines out? And
Yeah.
can they use that road that's half-made to access their back lot? But I don't know if that's for you to decide right now or not.
Well,
I
I
think
don't,
Yeah, I think it's not for us to decide right now, and I think that homeowner probably has some issues with the developer
yeah,
that do
I
not
would think
involve us, but yeah,
Exactly. I'm just looking at, thinking that if somebody purchased this and they want to subdivide it, what other problems we could arise, but we don't have to worry about that now.
Well, the one issue that did arise from the last one is because the power line was there, none of the abutters that were below the power line were notified because they're not technically an abutter because of the power line. And
DNP is
that's right, yep.
interesting.
yeah, so the reapproval process is not going to be pretty if whoever buys this wants to either move forward with the same subdivision or new subdivision. So. Are there any other questions or thoughts or comments?
So is that the lot that has a house on it is kind of a registered lot in Durham now?
Oh, yeah, they've been there probably 2 years.
Okay.
And like I said, he borders the corner of Grand Hill Farm Road and the new road that he put in. So he does have frontage on Granite Farm Hill Road.
And you're looking at submitting, whomever the personal rep is, sending the letter to them. Should we also CC that homeowner?
I don't know if it would affect him.
I mean, we certainly can.
Yeah, but at least it updates him, that party, as to, so that they know what is going on.
Yeah,
Don't want to blindside them.
no, I've spoken with him and he's, he's concerned about what's gonna happen and what's gonna happen inside there if they dissolve it. And
Well, become open space.
Well, I would consider it a back lot at this point because they have the
Yeah.
50 right of way.
Is that lot big enough to be considered a back lot back there, Bob?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 16 or some odd acres, or it might be more than that. But then again, if the ordinance changes, one back lot per parcel, so they would have to go through subdivision to build more than one house back there.
I certainly believe submitting the letter is the way that we need to proceed with this.
All right, guys, is there any other questions or comments or thoughts? Otherwise, I'm gonna make a motion. Two motions. So my first motion is I move to find that Granite Hill subdivision has not, is that the name of it? Granite Hill Farm?
Grand Hill Farm, yep.
Because the name of the subdivision is different than the name of the road. Right? Let me make sure I get this right, sorry.
And
I think it's Grand Hill Farm subdivision, but I
Okay.
don't have the paperwork in front of me.
Okay, that's how we have it in our agenda, so I think that's right. All right, so I move to find that Granite Hill Farm subdivision has not completed construction of the subdivision's infrastructure improvements within 36 months of the date of approval and signing of the plan, and the plan is in violation of the Durham zoning ordinance. The roads and other approved infrastructure have only been minimally begun and have not been completed. So that's my first motion. Can I have a second?
Second,
Okay. All those in favor, we need to do a roll call. Alan,
yes.
Ron,
Yes.
Wes,
yes,
Juliet,
Yes.
and I am a yes. Okay, and then my second motion is I am going to move, let me find my ordinance. Where'd it go? I am going to move that the planning board record a notice in the Androscoggin County Registry of Deeds stating that the plan is in violation of the Durham zoning ordinance, and the developer has defaulted under the plan, and that no development permits for unsold lots will be issued by the town until application has been made for reapproval of the subdivision and the planning board grants such approval. That is my motion. Can I have a second?
Second,
Was that Alan?
yes.
Sorry, I'm trying to type. All right, all those in favor, Alan,
Yes.
Ron,
Yes.
Wes,
yes.
and Juliet.
Yes.
Okay, I will work with Kathy to have something drafted up and filed in the registry, and we will send it to the PR, the owner of the existing lot, and have it recorded in the registry. Oh, and maybe the realtor as well. Is there anything else on this before we wind this one up? Nope. Okay. All right, on to our second one. So this is a Royalsboro Road subdivision. And I see we have a few folks here for that. It looks like. Who is going to present on this application?
Hi there, I'm going to be presenting.
Great.
I have a plan that I can share on my screen if that's acceptable.
Yeah, that sounds great. Are you able to share?
Let's
might
see.
need to-
It says host disabled participant screen sharing.
All right, I think I can make you a co-host.
Okay.
Nope, I can't. Tammy, can you figure out how to allow her to share?
Yeah, and in the meantime, could you just state your name and your address
Yep.
for records?
Yep, my name is Adrienne Fine. I'm a civil engineer at Teradyne Consultants. We have 2 offices located in Portland and at Pineland Farms in New Gloucester. It looks like I can share now, so I will do that. All right, are you able to see this plan?
Yep.
All right. So like I said, my name's Adrienne. I'm a civil engineer. I'll be representing the Royalsboro Road subdivision tonight. This project is located at 1334 Royalsboro Road, which is on the eastern side of the road. And the parent parcel is about 34 acres. On this plan, that's shown in the white outline and the yellow. So this whole thing. The current owner is going to retain approximately 18 acres, and they're selling approximately 16 acres to the developer. So this area in the bold yellow line will be the subdivision. We've been calling it the subdivision lot just for ease of clarification. And the developers are Votor LLC. Some of them are on the meeting tonight as well. And the only area that will be owned by them and proposed for this subdivision is this 16 acres within the yellow property line. This will be retained by the owner and is not part of the development. So the entire parcel actually was surveyed by Wayne T. Wood & Co. and wetlands were delineated by Mark Sensi Geologic. The only extent of wetlands on the actual subdivision lot are some small pockets of forested wetlands on the backs of these lots. This low-lying area with some larger wetlands will remain the current owner's property, so not part of the development. The development site is mostly forested, and there is a small field towards the road. And the site gradually slopes up from Royalsboro Road. And the soils out here are generally sandy loam soils. And stormwater runoff today drains towards these wetlands. So I'm going to go to a second plan that is just zoomed in on the development area. Otherwise, it's the same plan. So this is the proposed subdivision. It's a 6-lot subdivision, and it'll be on an 853-foot-long private way within a 50-foot right-of-way. The road will be 20 feet wide, paved with 2-foot shoulders to meet the town's ordinance requirements. The lots are all at least 2 acres in size. So this meets like the standard subdivision requirements from the ordinance. And building envelopes are all at least 1 acre to 1.5 acres in size. Those wetland areas that I mentioned earlier are on the perimeter of the site and won't need to be impacted to develop the road. And we're proposing that the right-of-way will extend all the way to the back of the property for frontage, but we're proposing to stop the road sooner to protect some wetlands back in this area of the site. And each lot will have its own individual septic system and well. And we are proposing to have underground electric run within the roadway. And the road will have some roadside ditches for stormwater runoff. And the white areas that are kind of crosshatched here are areas we've set aside for stormwater buffers. We're proposing to manage stormwater in those areas with forested and meadow buffers. So with that, we would welcome any planning board feedback.
Question I have is, should the road extend a little further so lot 4 could have a driveway right off the road? Like right now, it looks like they'd have to continue up the right of way and then into their,
Yeah, the driveway, there could be a driveway off the side of the road here. We extended it far enough for that. But we can, you know, fine tune that with the developer to make sure there's enough length.
Hey, thanks, Adrian. I've got a couple questions.
Sure.
Wondering, are there going to be any impacts at all to wetlands, or are we staying out of them?
We're staying out of the wetlands.
Okay. And the wetland delineation, when was that conducted?
That was conducted in 2019.
Okay. So conducted in 2019, but the report was just written last month. Is that right?
Yes, and he's been back out to the site a few times, but the full investigation where we also met with DEP was in 2019.
Okay, that makes more sense. I was gonna say January wetland delineation. I mean, we haven't had much snow, but still.
They do happen, but
I
yeah,
mean,
this
yeah.
was summer.
Okay, and there was one potential vernal pool found, but it was found to not be significant. Is that right?
Yeah, in his report, he said that that was found to not be significant, so no longer.
Where is that? Where was that potential vernal
Right
pool?
there.
I believe it was up here.
Okay,
Keep right,
okay.
It wasn't,
to the right.
You what?
it wasn't significant because of the size.
There are certain classifications that make a vernal pool significant, and those are things you have to assess at a certain time of year in April and May, which was done, and he found that it didn't meet those criteria.
Okay, yeah, so he looked in May then at that vernal pool.
Yeah, in April or May.
Okay. Okay, somewhat close by here. Where the road is being proposed off of 136 or Royalboro, is that the same location where there's a for sale sign on the?
No.
Okay.
It's up the hill more, and that's a good point. So that for sale sign and that kind of little drive into the site is more down here, which is lower on this hill. Both myself and the surveyor took some site distance measurements. And this area is closer to the top of that hill and has sufficient site distance. So it is a different location than where that sign is.
Okay. And at what point are you guys going to try and get a DOT permit? Because I'm glad you looked at site distance, but I'm still a little skeptical about that.
Yeah, I believe the seller of this property received a DOT permit for this location. I need to get that documentation and reach back out to DOT to confirm that.
Okay, that would be great to see if we could have a copy of that.
Yeah, definitely. We'll make sure to submit that.
Okay. So you're saying it's a little more to the north, right? No, south. South, where the for sale sign is currently.
The road will be south of where the for sale sign is currently, yes.
Okay. Great. I think that's all my questions for now, Ann.
Adrian, This is Wes. The road right away that's extending beyond, is that just for the frontage of those last two lots, or is that for future access to
It's
anything?
it's just for frontage, and then it could be used to access if we do have any stormwater management back here
Mhm.
as well. Our plan is to hopefully do all the stormwater management we need in these three locations.
Mhm.
So we don't need to do anything back here. But there could be access to the stormwater area if needed, but otherwise it's just for frontage.
Subdivision.
The road will be managed by a home. So that typically means it's owned by the association, if it's a private way.
Okay, I mean, it could be either way. Sometimes the developers retain it. It's just one thing to think about and
Okay, yeah, I'll let
settle on
them,
before you.
I'll let them
bring us-
chime in if they feel differently, or we can clarify that at another meeting.
Yep, and really just, I should have said this. First of all, this is our first site plan, or sketch plan subdivision. So we're figuring out just like
Yep.
you are. But the purpose of this is really for us to highlight any big problems that we see, ask any questions that we have right now. And then after this, because what we were finding is once we got into the subdivision, people had already spent a ton of money on engineering and design and everything else. And once we started going through and catching issues, developers felt like they were already so invested in their design that they weren't willing to make changes that the planning board needed. So hopefully this is to flag any issues that we have, any concerns that we have up front, ask any questions of you, flag issues that may trip us up. And that's just one of them. I find sometimes people don't think about ownership of the road. You know, we do want to see the association documents and things like that. So if the ownership of the road and also this, I guess that little triangle at the back is going to be common land, I'm assuming. Who's going to own that?
Yeah, if that's needed for stormwater, then it would remain probably some sort of common land. If we find that we don't need that area, the developers may choose to put it into one of the lots instead.
Okay,
So that property line might go away.
gotcha.
This is Alan, shouldn't that, when we're looking at that back section, shouldn't that already have been analyzed and know whether any stormwater drainage would have to be installed or not at this, prior to this?
Well, this is, like Anne said, a sketch plan. So we've done some rough assessments of stormwater and slopes and soils and know that we are going to be able to treat stormwater, but we haven't done a detailed design and spent extensive engineering on it yet. So we're reserving that area just in case, but we expect that we won't actually need it.
Okay,
Right, so Alan, the next phase in this is a more complete submission. And that's their preliminary plan. And that's when we'd start to really, they have 12 months to file it within the date of today's date. And then that's where they provide a lot of the more technical stuff and the DOT stuff that Juliet asked for and the various other state approvals or sign-offs. And soil testing and things like that we would need to make the decision.
So
But if
that,
you have concerns about that triangle, one way or the other, we should definitely talk about that.
right. You had also mentioned that each individual lot would have their own septic and water supply. I guess my concern is there an aquifer there? And I imagine all these would be artesian wells, correct?
I'm actually not sure what type of wells the developer is planning yet, but that's something that we're working with the soil scientist on, is both the well and the septic.
Because I know that in previous subdivisions, actually one that was near my home, in Durham that one of our concerns being in the neighborhood of that subdivision was the impact of artesian wells on the neighboring lots. Just something to be thinking about.
Yep.
Adrian, what
Yeah.
is the little, the house directly between, too little for me, lot 6 and the road? Is that, yeah, that one?
Yep.
Is that multiple homes? Is that, what is that?
I'm not sure. I believe it's just a single family lot.
Yeah, I believe that's a single family.
Or something, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is the big rest.
Like an older colonial.
Yeah, like a colonial
Oh, okay.
style.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So one thing I will tell you, and this is, we get neighbors who frequently are concerned about, you know, they've been surrounded by woods for years and years, and now they're concerned about a subdivision going in right behind them. Things that go a long way to helping are to include a vegetative buffer. I'm not saying it's required, but it often helps. So on that lot 6, you might want to consider, I mean, it looks like you've got plenty there for a building envelope. You might want to think about blocking out a vegetative buffer there between that lot and the neighbors. And we find that goes a long way to neighbors who are now going to have a house in their backyard instead of acres of woodland. So something to think about when you're designing this.
Yeah. It's good advice. Thank you.
Yep.
Adrian, I just thought of a couple things. I think you mentioned that you're working with soils, guys, girls. So will you be getting an idea of probably not water yield, but maybe depth to water in this area? So thinking about the wells, thinking of what Alan was just talking about.
Yeah, so what the soil scientists will do is do some test pit investigations for septic and stormwater, and that can also help guide some decisions about wells and knowledge about wells. And they also have access to state resources that they can interpret and understand that will help to understand water availability and depth. And if there are concerns or red flags, they would do a test that's deeper to find water.
Yeah, I think it's hard to understand the yield. You know, as a homeowner myself, I've had issues with my well. I live pretty close to this location, but I think it's hard to identify the yield, even just by soils testing. But board number 11 in our ordinance, we talk about the groundwater. Not having adversely affecting the quality or quantity of groundwater. I think that's a hard thing to measure, the quantity anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of just a talking point, really.
Yeah, it's something we can talk to the soil scientist about.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure that, the developers don't want to have lots that are difficult for future homeowners either. So it's a good thing for everyone to look at.
Right. And then another question I had for you, have you guys reached out to any agencies about RTE or rare threatened and endangered species yet? Or do you plan to?
We haven't yet, but we will as part of our discussions with DEP. We've had some preliminary conversations with DEP, but we will reach out to the state agencies for species.
Okay.
But that hasn't happened yet.
We'd like to hear about that when you do that.
Yep, we can provide that letter.
Okay, thank you. Oh, one last thing.
Go ahead,
This
Julia.
is not this is not in a flood zone, right? I didn't look yet, but it's
No,
not mapped. Okay,
No,
thanks.
And if they were to do a vegetated buffer, as you would mention, what would that be like some common land that would be deeded to stay vegetated or?
We've seen it both ways. We've seen it as either common land that's maintained that way, or we've seen it basically as a restriction on the homeowner from development in that area.
Okay, yeah.
And it gets drawn right onto the plan that it has to be maintained as a vegetative buffer.
Yep. Yeah, it looks like that area is already vegetated. The abutter is cleared right to the lot, it looks like, lot line,
Mhm.
but
Right.
but the lot 6 is completely vegetated right now.
Yeah.
and how about the road in?
You mean maintaining vegetation along that?
Well, it may be, they may not want to see traffic going up the road. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, so I always recommend that people reach out to those around them and talk to them before submitting a final plan to us. And sometimes little things will go a long way to helping the neighbors be comfortable with the new development in their backyard. Sometimes it won't. But we'll hear about it if they're unhappy, as we should, and we'll take it into consideration in our discussions as much as we can. So that's always a good, that's just a practical life tip. Reach out to the neighbors and see if they have any concerns up front. And if there's anything minor that you can do to help mitigate those concerns, that's always goes a long way to speeding things along and frankly making it so that you don't have angry neighbors forever moving forward. So yeah, no, that's a good point, Bob, because
We don't like angry neighbors.
we don't. That's how things wind up on Bob's desk.
Yes, that's correct.
So my other comment, and this is again, just as you're going through, in the past, we have struggled with the, sufficient water for fire protection and things like that. So we just ask that you reach out to our fire chief and work with him to make sure that he's satisfied with what you have. And if you can even get us a letter from him. In the past, sometimes he's had residential sprinkler systems installed where there wasn't a fire pond or some other close source of water. I have no idea what there is. But reaching out to him ahead of time will speed things up and give us the confidence that that his needs are being met for emergency response and fire response as well.
I can speak to the chief and talk to Adrian about it.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great. But we always
Great.
want his input on these things.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you.
Planning board members, do you have anything else?
I think one of the items that has come up in the past with, it may have been just an individual, but it's light pollution. And when I talk about light pollution, I talk about people turning into that road and providing that buffer to the existing neighbor as you turn off from 136.
That would be a buffer on the road in.
Correct. I think one of the issues that we have struggled with, sometimes it doesn't seem like there is enough buffer between the lot line and where the actual road is. And it's just moving something over 20 feet where the road actually access gives you that buffer. So something to look at also.
Yep, that's good
Yeah.
feedback, Ellen.
Yeah, I agree with you, Al, because there is no setback for a road.
That's correct. That's why I mentioned it. Granted, it's not a requirement, but to appease people and make people feel comfortable about it, sometimes it's an easy fix if you have the room,
Right.
Yeah, on this one, it'll probably be a balance, you know, between the safest site distance
Mm,
and the
Right.
buffering. But there are some options if we can't move the road that we can talk about and look into and open up a conversation with that abutter.
That's great.
Good to hear.
Almost looks like the road could come off of 136 just a little further north and go right, come right off at a 90-degree, right up to that first bend in the road, in the proposed road. And that would give a bit more of a opportunity for a buffer. It could be kind of a triangular area, but it wouldn't cut off much of lot one either.
Yeah, I think the balance is that's where that hill is, and those sight distances are terrible in that area.
Yeah, the road is 50 miles an hour. People cruise right there. So it's, when I saw that for sale sign, that was the first thing that gave me was that in and out right there.
Adrian, one thing, and I have no idea what the seller is thinking for the rest of his or her, I actually don't know, I'm sorry, property, but sometimes it's worth opening up a right of way to that other lot in case you think there will ever be future developments there. I have no idea what the plan is or whether that's in the future or whether that will happen, but it's something else to think about, especially given the concerns that everybody has with coming off of 136 at that section. It would certainly be easier if there were future lots in the retained land to make it, loop through. But something to think about.
Yeah, there's a lot of wetlands on that lot.
Yeah, I
All
can see
through
that.
here. So, I mean, it's something worth mentioning and we can ask about it, but my sense is that would be pretty difficult
Yep.
Mhm.
no,
for the
that's fair.
remaining land for them to do much. So,
That's fair.
yeah.
All right, planning board, anything else?
Adrian, do you have any questions for us? I'm sure you've looked at our ordinance. We've rewritten this relatively recently. Some requirements in here, regarding agency approvals and things like that. So do you have any questions for us on any of that?
No, I think all of that seems pretty straightforward. I like the new ordinance. It's very straightforward. It's nice to
Thank you.
follow.
It only took 3 years to do.
So yeah, I think that all makes sense. I guess the only questions I really have for you are, if you had any comments on the lots or the road or the proposal for the right of way extension. But it sounds like, you've already provided some comments on the lots. So unless there's anything else you had on other lots or the right of way, then I think I'm good.
I don't think so. I mean, I checked, it looks like your lots are all going to be conforming. There's no undersized lots. It looks like you have plenty of room to meet setbacks and everything else. You've got the turnaround. I mean, the chief may want something else for his emergency vehicles, but I don't see any major red flags.
Yeah, they are pretty big lots out here. So I think, it meets the ordinance, but they'll also make for nicer lots as well.
Yep. Adrian, did anyone else from your team want to talk tonight, or are you all set? Because I will open it, I have no idea whether there's public here, but I will open up to public comment after your team is done. Is there anyone else who wanted to say anything, or are you all set?
I'll let them chime in if they do.
Okay, and if you don't mind, you can just stop sharing your screen and,
Sure.
but that was really helpful. Thank you for doing that. That was
Yeah.
very useful.
I would present.
That's it. And so
Thanks.
now I'll open it up for public comment. I have no idea if there is public, but did anybody want to offer comment on this or ask questions? I don't see anyone. I don't see hands raised, so I will close
There's
public
no
comment.
notification for the sketch plan.
What?
There's no notification for the
Right,
sketch plan, so,
right. But occasionally people find us through our
Yeah.
agenda.
yeah.
And there certainly will be notification for the next phase, so there might be input at that point. But that's again why I always encourage people, know what comment you're gonna have before you get here. It goes a long way, and it certainly makes the process easier. So if there's nothing else and you guys don't have any questions, you are all set. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for answering our questions and putting together what looks like a good proposal. And we look forward to getting all the details and being able to dive into it.
Yeah, thank you all for your feedback. It was very helpful.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too.
care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Night.
All right, planning board, the only item that I wanted to mention, Bob and I have been talking about Chip Bowie's project. And I had to go back and figure out what the heck had happened because it had been so long. Half of you were not on the board at that point. So this was reviewed by the planning board over a year ago. Chip had not given the board everything that they felt Chip, right?
Yeah,
Dan,
Huh?
Dan and Chip, same
No,
person?
not Dan.
no, this is,
Dan, I don't think we've heard anything from, so the
No,
ball's in
we-
his court.
no.
So this
Okay.
is firewood processing and some other activities that actually fairly similar to Dan, honestly.
Sorry, Anne, is this the email about the Bowie site?
Yeah,
Okay,
yep.
Because- yeah, the other subdivision, was his last name Bowie
No.
too? No,
No.
okay, sorry.
So anyway, this was a firewood and mulch and recycling operation, materials recycling, not like car recycling, that came to the planning board over a year ago. We sent it back to him, asked for additional information. He never came back to the planning board. Has done a bunch of other work, but also including expert work, worked with the DP. And so Bob and I talked about it, and given that half of our board has turned over since then, I was not involved in the workshop either. So I could not make a decision on it, and it's been a year. I'm going to consider that to have expired. And so my guidance to Chip was through Bob, was to reapply. This would be a conditional use, not a site plan. He's not planning on building a building. So the instruction to him was to reapply for conditional use. He'll be able to use most of his same plans and materials and experts. And honestly, our conditional use now or process now is much easier than it was back when he came to us originally. So we may or may not see him. I hope we do, because that's what he needs to be legal, but
No, he's more than willing, because he's already spent all kinds of money and he's done a great job so far, so.
great. So hopefully we'll see him in the next couple months.
So
Um,
has he already started construction on the site that did not receive approval yet, or how?
Yeah,
you've been operating.
so I'll give it to you in a nutshell. The last meeting, January 19th, was he needed to supply a deed and financial responsibility. He came in on the 20th of last year. And he didn't say he was gonna start. He was the impression that he needed to provide the deed. And it was and I talked to him about what Ann and I had talked about. And he said, well, when I gave you the deed, the planning board was in a little bit of a disarray and they didn't have a quorum. This is what he said. So this is just what happened, and he's done a great job. But I do recall seeing in the meeting where Ann said that he needed to come back to the planning board. So
Bob,
Yeah, there were never any findings or anything.
yeah, I've looked, I've contacted John and I've contacted Bonnie because I noticed she was writing the notes, but there was nothing. But I did hear that he did need to come back to the planning board.
Bob, those are the photos that you sent to us.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, those are the chips.
So you can hang on to those for now, until we have an application in front of us.
And I was out there when the DEP was there, and I was out there when his engineer was there, and DEP has approved the settling pond. Everything that runs off there goes to the settling pond. I mean, he's done a good job, but
This is the one that had the big berm, right? It was gonna
yes, the
burn,
sound
sound.
area.
Yeah. Has that been?
Yep, it's totally done.
Where is the site?
Cushing Road.
No. It's off the Hollowell.
Yep, it's right after the power line on Cushing Road.
So we'll see that hopefully in the next month or two.
No, he'll be coming next month. He's
Great.
Yeah.
So we'll see him in March.
And he's going to resubmit his original packages, and I don't know.
Okay, well, he needs to go through that application and
Yep.
fill it out.
Yep.
Yeah, and
Because if it takes us forever to do this because he hasn't done the work.
No, I agree.
yeah, I
It's
would
not gonna go
recommend to
well.
him that he updates with what's been done too, right?
Definitely.
He's perfectly willing to do this. He's not bucking it at all. So
No, agreed, agreed.
It's obvious he's invested a lot of money already.
yeah, 80 grand.
So
Hmm.
we do have a public hearing coming up next week, next Monday. Alan, you won't be able to make it, right?
No, I'll be traveling.
Okay, so
One or the
we'll
other.
miss you terribly. I'm sorry the last one didn't work out. Wound up, there was a budget committee meeting. I'm sure you all saw George's email that some of the selectmen have questions. Would have been great if they'd participated in our workshops. They didn't.
Yes, it would.
So, but that's okay. We'll take whatever feedback we get, and if we feel like we can make changes, we will. And if we don't, it'll go to the voters and they can vote it up or down. Did anybody have any questions on that before we get there? Alan, certainly if you have any questions or concerns about the drafts.
Well, the question I had was, granted, we voted on this in November, in the referendum, correct?
I don't think we ever voted on it. We were supposed to do that on the 25th.
Okay,
Do you mean board voting?
Yeah, us voting
Yeah,
to send them. Yeah.
I mean, as adopted, like Town of Durham Land Use Ordinance as adopted at town meeting November 3rd. What's coming up for the public meeting is different? I mean, we're looking
Yeah, we're
at,
gonna have another town meeting in June.
February 8th, isn't it? Where the-
Right.
No, February 8th is our public hearing.
Yeah,
Town meeting.
so the ones
after
that we,
that.
right, that's April 3rd. That's
November 3rd, the town meeting voted to adopt our changes before that. But this one's gonna include those 4
Okay, I got you.
changes that George sent us, the roads, the,
Base businesses,
business.
appeals, process and
Yeah.
miscellaneous.
Home-based business.
I
Yep.
do have an issue with the home-based business, putting it in an accessory structure.
Okay.
I honestly would rather have the board decide whether or not a business should go in a garage. Because nobody tells me anything, so that could change so quick.
all right, well, let's talk about it next week then, Bob. Are you gonna be able to attend
Next Wednesday?
next Monday?
Yep, sure.
Okay, so, yeah, let's talk about it then.
Yep, okay.
All right, guys, anything else?
Should we?
Time is the meeting? Is it on Monday?
I think it's at
6
6:30.
o'clock. I think
Is it at 6?
Yep. On the
Okay.
8th. Should we confirm our next normal planning board meeting?
Our next normal meeting will be the first Wednesday of March, whenever that is.
March 3rd,
Okay, so-
right?
March.
Okay,
Yep,
cool. So the 3rd at 6:30.
yep.
That's what the agenda says.
Snarky.
All right, guys. Anything
Sorry, I didn't mean it
else?
to come out that way.
No, that's okay.
We'll keep an eye on you, don't.
We've had a little, I don't know, a little communication with the issue with the agenda, and part of it's because I'm not very good at being responsive, but so hopefully we'll get everything back on track for next month. Anything else? And if not, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So
I
move.
motion that.
All right.
I'll
motion by
second.
Ron, second by Juliet. All those in favor, Alan,
Yes.
Ron,
Yes.
Wes,
Yes.
Juliet,
Yes.
and I am a